Greetings, my name is Borden, and welcome to the first in a multi-part series on building your own triads for the mandolin. For now, we're just going to call a triad a basic three-note chord, a chord whereby you're just using the three most basic ingredients to play your major and minor chords. The goal for this class, by the end of 4 installments, I am hoping to have you learn how to pick a note on the instrument and be able to play any major or minor chord around it. In other words, wrapping a harmony, so to speak, around the note of your choice. You can imagine that this is really empowering. It's a little bit of a daunting task to explain this in 3 short videos, but we'll see how we can do. So we're going to start out by just talking about the basic ingredients of any major or minor chord. And there's going to be a little bit of theory involved, so I warn you, here comes the math. But we're not going to go too deep into this, but this is just to show you why they call it a triad. It's basically this what's called a tertiary system, right? So you're basically, each note in the chord is separated by an interval of a third of a various sort, either a major third or a minor third. Okay, and I'll just explain that really quickly, just to give you a sense of how the chord itself is built. So if you start with a major scale, starting with G, most of you know this. A, 2nd fret, B, 4th fret, C, and you walk up to the 5th note, which is D. You skip the 2 and you skip the 4, so you're going to go Do, skip over the 2nd fret and not play it, play the 4th fret, which is B, and then skip over the 4th fret, don't play it, and play the open note. It sounds like this. Now you notice that's an arpeggio. Somebody once told me, can't remember who, that an arpeggio, which is just the notes of the chord played separately, is like a puddle of water. And when you play it as a chord, it's like an ice cube. So what we're doing is we're taking that puddle of water and we're putting it back into an ice cube. See how that works? So the idea here is that you're taking those basic ingredients, the 1, which is the first note of the scale, the 3, which is the third, and that, by the way, is an interval of a major third. The distance between this note is a major third. Now, you're also going to notice that when you play from 1 to D, or from G to D, or 1 to 5, that's a 5th, a perfect 5th. And so the notes that you have to make up any major chord are 1, 3, 5. Oh, say, can you see? Right? If you wanted to make that minor, what you need to do is just flat or lower in pitch by 1/2 step the 3rd note of the scale, and play that instead. So it sounds like this. Now notice how that sounds a little bit more melancholy or sad, right? Just by changing that one note, you have a more sprightly, kind of happy sound, that major chord sound. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just show you the root shape. And what I mean by this root position shape is the idea here is that the chord has 3 notes, and the lowest note in this particular shape is always going to be the first note of the scale for the given chord. So the idea here is, like, say you have A. A is on your 2nd fret, right? You play that A with your index finger, you push it down, and then you bar the next note. And when you do that, you're playing a 5th every time. So if this is the tonic, or the first note of the scale, or the name of the chord, right? It's an A major chord that we're building, and so that note is A. The note on the next string if you fret it, or if you play those two notes open, because the whole mandolin is tuned in fifths, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol. If you started here, do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, right? Same relationship. The whole instrument is tuned in fifths, so if you fret those notes, you're recreating the natural relationship of those open strings, right? That's also how you play free jazz on the mandolin. Anyway, so there you go. There's your fifth, your perfect fifth, right? So I told you that the ingredients are 1 and 3 and 5. And so we have the 1 and we have the 5, and that leaves the 3. And so the 3 is just going to be your your ring finger on the 4th fret there, and that gives you your C sharp. So you have your A, your E, and your C sharp, and you have your A major chord in the root is in the bass, okay? And so that's the first shape we're going to discuss today. And so the goal here is to find any note on the instrument and hang this shape off of it. That's your homework. So I'll show you real briefly a really fun trick to kind of getting this down. I call it the clothesline technique. So you have G, the G string, and you have the D string, and those are your clotheslines, your potential clotheslines to hang your shirt. Your shirt is the chord, and your clothespin is that root note. Okay, you're pinning your root note to the clothesline, and you're hanging your shirt off of it, so to speak, right? So here's your A. But say you want to make a C chord, right? You go down the clothesline a little further, or up in pitch, so to speak, and you get this first finger pinned to the C note, and you hang your chord off of it. Say you want to play a B, or a B flat, right? It works like bar chords. It's closed off. You're not playing the E string. So if you want to play that on the D string, you can do that as well because you have 3 available notes. Of course, you can't build this chord on the A string because you don't have enough room for that 3rd note. So you'll notice that the only possible way to play all 3 of these notes in this shape is to hang it off of the G string or the D string. And you can do this anywhere on the neck. The last final piece here, of course, is that if you don't know the names of the notes on the instrument, this is a really fun way to learn them, right? So by finding the note and hanging the chord off of it, it gives you a little reward. So how do you find the notes on the instrument? Well, if you don't know already and you don't know how to count the alphabet, that's something you definitely want to learn. But what I would do is just go online and find yourself a map of the fingerboard, and post that up on your wall, and pick a couple of notes that you want to build your chord off of, and just make sure that they are on the G string or the D string, and build yourself a bunch of major chords whereby the root or the tonic or the first note of the scale, those are all synonymous, is in the bass of the 3 notes. And really try and hone your ear around that low note and really understand that when you're playing that, that's the first note of the scale. That's home bass, that's the head honcho, right? And there's your chord, okay? So in the 2nd and 3rd parts of this class, I'm going to discuss the 2 other inversions for major and also show you how to make those minor as well. Okay, so hang tight. The next 2 classes will be considerably shorter because you've done the legwork here. And stay tuned. Visit my website, zachborden.com, ZAKBORDEN. There's some more goodies up there, blog and tour dates. And we'll see you in part 2. Thanks very much.